Hey, we've been looking for you. Don't you know you part of the shift? Where you been? Well, you're here now, so that's all that matter. And since you're here, we welcome you to the shift with Christ Capital Church. Good, everybody. My name is Kerry Jordan. I give all glory, honor, and praise to the Most High God and His Son. And I am the manager of Christ Capital Church, a church of true spirituality. As many of you may understand, many of you may know already, the Father has been working with me for a very long time, patiently, and working with me very diligently, to the point where now I'm getting ready to start a church. I'm getting ready to start a church whose mission is to become a lighthouse of the knowledge of Christ, to evangelize and to manifest the faith and love of God. Our main objective is to turn earthly people into spiritual people, turn children of darkness into children of light. And, here at Christ Capital Church, we'll basically be teaching the gospel of God through a message of light and darkness. It's one of our main things. We'll teach the gospel of God through a message of light and darkness, which will also include the knowledge of the glory of Christ, as well as, basically knowledge concerning the gospel, because, as we all, as believers, may understand, and other people who may understand as well, that's truly what this book is about. It's about the coming of God's Son, how His life impacted the world, what we've gained from His life, what we've gained from His death, what we've gained from His resurrection, as well as what's to come, and just, the absolute blueprint as to how to walk just like Him, and how to be like Him until He returns, and what we are required to do to make others just like Him. So, like I said, our main thing we teach will be the gospel of God, which is filled with so many just diverse topics and different things that's all concerning, God's gospel. So like I said, it's a church of true spirituality. And I think as of right now, I just wanted to get on and just encourage the people, because of course we familiar with just all the things we suffer with as a people. We're aware of all the things that's going on, and I really believe that this foundation is going to be everything that our spirits have been crying out for, everything that, our hearts actually need in a time like this, everything that our spirits need in a time such as this. And I believe it's truly going to be a foundation, man, that a lot of our spirits been looking for a long time, being able to truly understand spiritual things, a foundation that understands spiritual knowledge, the spiritual knowledge of Christ, a foundation that's, grounded in love, a foundation that's grounded in, just a divine purpose to place men and women onto the path of righteousness. And I believe that should be everybody's, well, every leader's and every pastor's goal, every shepherd's goal should truly be to place those sheep onto the path of righteousness. So the Father, like I said, He's been working with me for a long time, and I'm excited about this church, man. And it's gonna be, like I said, it's gonna be amazing because of many things. It's amazing because of many things, mainly because God's Spirit will definitely be there, And like I said, what I'm more so excited about as far as the church would be the knowledge, because the Father has been giving me some amazing knowledge of just, His Son, and knowledge of true spirituality and awareness, and just, I don't know, man, just how deep just this spiritual experience can be with His Spirit, because I believe matter of fact, I'm gonna say that I also have a YouTube channel. You can find a YouTube channel at Christ Capital Church, and the theme of the YouTube channel is the shift. So I'm not gonna speak too much on some of those things because I wanna place them on the page, but I want to get on here right now and just, kind of go over one point that I feel like I'm ready to just share with the world. And something I believe that, of course, many, may already understand. Of course, majority may already know. But something that I want to share with the people, as it pertains to what our church will be standing on, as it pertains to a solid concept that our church will be grounded in. So basically, like I said, this church is called Christ Capital Church. And the Father Spirit has been letting me know to see discipleship with a spiritual eye and understand discipleship with a spiritual heart. And when it comes to Christ, Christ also had a spiritual identity. I believe everybody has a spiritual identity. I don't believe it's, those identities are made up of ourselves, but I believe that everybody has a physical identity as well as a spiritual identity. But like we said, we're speaking about Christ right now. And of course, physically, we know who Christ was physically, as well as we know who he was spiritually. But in this moment, I want to speak on one of those components, or one of the things that he was spiritually, which was the Shepherd King. Like Christ was and is our Shepherd King. When you think about a shepherd, you think about a master shepherd. Think about what it means to be a master. What it means to be a master is to gain control of. Also means to show great skill and proficiency in. It also means to acquire complete knowledge of. So basically what I mean by Christ was the Shepherd King. He was a master shepherd because he has control over the sheep. He is both Lord and the Christ. He is our Lord. He has complete control over creation, over everything in existence. Scripture says that everything, whether seen or unseen, whether thrones or powers, were made through him and for him. So he's a master shepherd in this case because he has complete control over life itself, complete control over, the sheep. And I also mentioned that it meant to show great skill and proficiency. If we look at his life and we look at how he not only ministered to those sheep, like he said, I come for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. We look at how he ministered. He showed great skill and proficiency in how he ministered to his sheep. He even showed great skill and proficiency of how he responded to those who vowed to insult him and those who vowed to test him and just humiliate him. He showed great skill and proficiency being a shepherd, as well as just his ultimate love, his ultimate act, which is laying his life down for the sheep. And there's nothing greater than that you can do but lay your life down for the sheep. And the other thing I mentioned was that to me, a master means to acquire complete knowledge of. So us understanding that Christ was God's son, we know that he had ultimate wisdom, ultimate knowledge of all things, And I was speaking to one of my partners the other day. I said, man, Christ could have came to this earth and gave us understanding and gave us knowledge of so many spiritual things, so many things beyond this realm, so many things beyond the spiritual realm, so many things that's, within this realm we're not aware of. He could have came to this earth and gave us so much, dropped so many gems on us, but he came and shared knowledge on the most valuable thing in existence, and that's man. That's the man and the woman. That's what God loves. God created the man and the woman. Therefore, the highest level of spirituality, the most valuable level of spirituality is raising the man and woman back to life, bringing the man and woman from darkness into light, understanding the spiritual authority of the man and woman's heart, understanding the heart, understanding the man and woman spiritually. That's the most valuable level of spirituality. So Christ came to this earth and gave us gems and gave us knowledge to do exactly that, to place men and women back onto the path of righteousness. So, like I said, he understood complete knowledge of this particular field, which is being a shepherd. He understood the sheep in a divine way. So those are the three things: to acquire complete knowledge, to show great skill and proficiency in, and I mentioned one more thing. So basically that's what made him, as well as other reasons, but it's those three things definitely that made him a master shepherd. And I believe that it's also, it's our duty to become master shepherds as well. I don't remember what scripture it was, but it said, if you're a teacher, teach well. If you're a prophet, prophesy well. If you such and such, do it well, And I encourage all, people, all leaders, whatever you be, to become a master of it. Simply meaning acquire complete knowledge of it. show great skill and proficiency in what it is you do. And the other one, what was it? Show great skill and proficiency, acquire complete knowledge. Oh yeah, and gain control. Now we know that we have no control over the sheep, like Christ said, if any man be greater among you, let him be your servant. So in that particular case, we know that he's in control. So yeah, I said all that to say that here at Christ Capital Church, we see discipleship with a spiritual eye, and we understand it with a spiritual heart. That being said, the Father's Spirit let me know how valuable it was to have the perception and the perspective of the Shepherd King. Because if we got a Shepherd King who's a master shepherd, and we want to walk like him, we want to do his work just like him, it makes more sense to have his perception, to have his perspective. Now I'm gonna speak a little bit about why that's important, because many of you might be like, okay, like why is a perception so important? Why is a perspective so important? So yeah, we'll start with perception. Perceive means to come to realize or understand. So perception, we think about perception, simply put, is the belief in the heart. It's the understanding in the heart, the belief in the heart that one has about a certain thing. And that perception is what molds your perspective. And I'm gonna explain that. So quick example I can give, just imagine there was a angry old man standing on his porch, and the belief in his heart that he had about teenage kids, the belief in his heart he had about little kids was that they're troublemakers. That they're troublemakers, and that they're always into something, that they're up to no good. Just take that as an example. There's an angry old man who's accepted that as true in his heart, because the heart is molded by what the eyes see, is molded by what the ears hear, and what the heart accepts as true is molded by those things. But in this particular matter, take a man who's accepted in his heart that this is what teenage kids is, this is what kids are. They're up to no good and they're troublemakers. And just say that he walks out on his porch one day with this belief, and he sees 10 of them walking up the street. Now we're talking about perspective. Perspective is, what do you see? Mainly, what do you see in this particular case spiritually? What is it that you see spiritually? Like if someone asks him, what do you see? They're not, the person who asked it, they're not asking him. They're not looking for an answer. Kids, they're not, that's not a perspective. Is much more deeper than that in this particular matter. When he said, what do you see? He said, what do you see spiritually? And what he's going to see is exactly what he believes. He's going to see troublemakers. He's going to see knuckleheads. He's going to see, gangbangers. When in reality, those kids probably walk into the ice cream truck and probably don't know nothing about a gun. Probably ain't been in no trouble, Probably ain't, been in no fight, But I guess I'm speaking on now of how heavy and how serious and how important, and just how important it is to have the right perception, how important it is to have the right belief, and to truly be aware of what it is you believe in your heart. So we understand that a man's perception molds his perspective. So just let's give some examples of Christ, his perspective. Who remembers the story where Christ was on the boat and his disciples came to him and was saying, man, they were waking him up in the storm. Christ stood up and he said, peace be still. When Christ saw the storm, what is it that he saw? What is it that he believed in his heart that caused him to respond in such a subtle way, that caused him to respond in such a calm way? He understood that, I don't know exactly what he understood, but, I can imagine that he understood that all of this is, for one, controlled by my Father. This is not a threat to me, and this is not a threat to my life. Simply put, there's a belief in his heart that caused him to see, something as simple as something that caused him to say, peace be still. So I guess another example, just to lead up to what I'm trying to speak on, I want to give enough examples that truly, show us how important perception and perspective is. Oh yeah, it's a scripture in Matthew what Christ was saying that it said that when he saw, it says that when he saw the people, they were like sheep without a shepherd. He saw people who were like sheep without a shepherd. So we can only imagine what his perception was that would cause him to look at a crowd of people and to see them as sheep, simply sheep without a shepherd, and to have compassion on them. Because we know as human beings, it's very easy to look at a crowd of people and only see, you know, only see the worst of things. You know, it's very easy to look at a crowd of people with such irritation and see murderers or see just only God knows what because of our perception, you know. So what I'm getting at is the shepherd king, Christ, saw discipleship with a spiritual eye. He understood it with a spiritual heart. This foundation, Christ Capital Church, will approach discipleship with a spiritual eye and will understand it with a spiritual heart. Imagine Christ came to me and he said, son, I got 100 sheep in this pen and I'm gonna give you charge over them for a week. Okay, so me understanding that while I have charge over these sheep, I want to perform just like him. I want to occupy his sheep exactly like him. And when we think about the task given to us as shepherds, as leaders, as teachers, that's our exact goal, to walk just like him. Like he said, my sheep hear my voice. He said that for a very specific reason. We're about to find out why. Just imagine he said, Carrick, I'm going to give you charge over my sheep. I got 100 sheep, and I'm going to give you charge over them. My best friend is going to be his perception and his perspective. Why? Because, for one, if I don't have the same belief that he has about his sheep in my heart, I'm not going to be able to treat them how he treats them. I'm not going to be able to even see them as he sees them. Just imagine a dying love that he has for his sheep. A love so strong and a compassion, a love so pure that it even causes him to see even the broken sheep, even those that's sick, even those that's disobedient, to sin with such love. It takes a God belief, it takes God emotion, a God perception to be able to see, broken sheep, disobedient sheep, to be able to see, sick sheep with love. I know a lot of us get to a place where we like, man, I done this, I done that, man. I know God, saw that. Well, I know it's like, how does he still see me? How is it that he still is showing love to me? How is it that he still sees me as his son? It's because of what he believes about you. It's because of what he knows about you. And this is also important because no matter how hard we try to love somebody, no matter how hard we try to basically just love people, if what we believe in our heart doesn't match that, we're not gonna be able to. We're gonna continue to approach trying to love somebody with improper smiles, with incomplete, with insincere smiles, with insincere love. We're gonna continue to approach those matters with these disturbing expressions because of what the heart believes. When in reality, it's a matter of saying, Father, you know what? I want to love this person, or I want to love this certain race of people, or I want to love this certain kind of people. So because I want to do that, to change what I believe in my heart about them, because that's the only way I'm be able to. That's the only way my eyes gonna see them how you see them, is about changing, what I believe in my heart about them. So getting back to the shepherd king, him giving me charge over 100 sheep. He said, son, I'm gonna give you charge over these sheep, and I want you to feed them. I want you to speak to them. I want you to touch them, to love them, to groom them. And I want you to approach them exactly how I do. So what I'm getting at is, that's why it's important to have his perception. Because if I can have the belief, if I believe what he believes about them, when I see that little broke one, that walks by, I'm gonna love them just the same. When I see the sick one, my eyes won't see. My eyes won't see just something worthless or something that's not valuable of my time, something that's not valuable of my love, is gonna see it exactly how he does. When I see, 2 or 3 of those sheep who's having a hard time being obedient, 2 or 3 of those sheep who's aggressive and who's, who may even snap at me, because of that belief, because of what I have in my heart, what he has in his heart, I'll still be able to see them how he sees them. So I mentioned 4 things: his approach. When I enter this particular task of caring for these sheep, of looking over these sheep, I need his approach. In this particular case, meaning his spirit. Because if the shepherd king, if he's, while he deals with his sheep, if he, he goes into his pen a certain way, if he approaches them a certain way, subtle, very gentle, very calm, I need to do the exact same thing, because his sheep is going to expect that approach. Okay, so take his voice. If the shepherd king speaks to them in a certain manner, I need to sound just like him, or if I don't sound like him, I'm going to disturb him. Or take the touch. To say, when he loves on his sheep, he rubs them from the back of their neck to their behind, to their rear end. My touch needs to be exactly the same. I don't need to go on there rubbing them from the back of their behind up to their neck. They're going to be disturbed. And just take the food, the very most important thing that I forgot to mention, where he actually feeds them. He's going to give me charge. He's going to give me charge of the sheep, and he's going to say, oh, they food over there. What you going to feed them is over there. I can't go in there with something I feel like they need to eat on, or something that their stomachs is not, going to sit well with. Or I can't go in there feeding them with something that's going to decrease their weight when the shepherd king comes back. I don't want the shepherd king to come back and be like, hey, what were you feeding them? Half of my sheep are malnourished. Half of my sheep have lost great amount of pounds because of what I'm not, I didn't choose his food. So basically what I'm getting at is, man, here at Christ Capital Church, through the God's Spirit, we're learning that we need to see discipleship with a spiritual eye, understand it with a spiritual heart. First, by truly taking a step to see people as he sees them. He sees them as sheep. I believe in this world you got sheep and you got goats. Christ said, Father, I pray for those who belong to you. I pray not for the world, but I pray for those who belong to you. And he said, I pray not for them only, but I also pray for those who will believe in me through their message. So, okay, if I say Christ Capital Church, sees discipleship with a spiritual heart, now I understand that, okay, I'm not approaching a man, I'm approaching a sheep. And this might just be one of those sheep that the Father says already belongs to him. This might just be one of those sheep that Christ said will eventually believe in me through your message. So it's like, with that perspective, it even breeds certain understandings of how we should treat people and how careful we should be with God's people. Because Paul said, when he was speaking to a group of people about how they used to live, he said, you are enemies of God's in your mind, And the reason why he said in your mind was very important, because he was basically saying, like, you are only enemies of God in your mind because he know who you were. You belong to him from the jump. You were enemies of God in your minds because the Father knew that by his son's sacrifice, by the power of his spirit, and by the knowledge you was going to receive, you was going to come to him. So we got to be very careful. The people that we're actually approaching, the things we do to people, things we say to people, because Christ said, what you do to the least of one of these little ones, you did to me, and it's with that perspective, with that perception, that perspective, we're able to find a small example of why that is important, because we don't want to see the people as just people. And we definitely don't want to see people that might be sick or might be hurt, might be disobedient as nothing less than what God sees them as. So, I said all that to say that the shepherd king, he's the master shepherd. And if I want to carry out his work, if I want to enter this world, if I want to go out and save souls, if I want to build a church, if I want to start a church, and if I want to lead his sheep to the lighthouse, I want to understand his sheep how he understands them. I want to have the same love that he has for his sheep. I want to have the same understanding that he has about sick sheep. I want to have the same understanding that he has about disobedient sheep. Same understanding he has about, those sheep who just can't get it right. Just yet. I want to have the same understanding. I want to have the same belief, So I encourage all those, all leaders and all shepherds who may be out there, if you can feel, yourself being at variance with the sick of his people, the disobedient of his people, or simply just not being able to truly love the people like you should, that's what you say. Father, change what it is I believe about, your sheep so I can love them. I speak to other races of people, whether it be whites or whether it be Hispanics or whether it be whether Indians or whatever race of people that wants to love God's people a certain way, who feels as if they're not able to for a certain reason. That's the reason. You haven't truly changed what it is you believe in your heart about this person. Even when it comes to forgiveness, I know a lot of us struggle with forgiveness because we haven't simply changed what we believe about a person. A person can do something to us. We wanna walk as Christ. We wanna do what we gotta do to show forth that forgiveness and show forth actual love. But it's hard because of that. It's hard because we ain't changed what we believe about them. When we look at them, our perspective is still the same of them. That person is still that. That person is still this because of what we believe in our heart. So, I'm not gonna go too deep in that. I just wanted to paint a clear picture on what this foundation is gonna be grounded in. It's gonna be grounded in having the Shepherd King's perception and perspective. It's been 25 minutes, but y'all, again, my name is Kerry Jordan, and I give all glory, honor, and praise to the Most High God and His Son. I'm excited about starting this church. I'm excited about being able to meet our other spiritual people where they are, because of, and also shared understanding of spiritual things. I'm ready to just cast down all the misconceptions about Christ, and I understand a lot of our people, simply shy away from Christ because of what has been presented. I understand a lot of our people shy away from the faith of Christ because of the false impressions and the false teachers and the false examples that we've seen over time. But I'm ready to truly build a foundation that's going to, feed our spirits and feed our hearts and give us a truly spiritual understanding of Christ, spiritual understanding of this world, and a foundation grounded in love, grounded in faith, and with a purpose of, placing people onto the path of righteousness, man, so that they can eventually be saved. So again, my name is Kerry Jordan, and I'm humble enough to say that, of course, there's a lot of advice that I need from others. There's a lot of advice that I need from older men, elderly men, as well as younger men, too. They can steer me in the right direction. There's a lot of things that I still need to know, but I'll try my best to teach or to speak on or to share what I do know and what I have understood. So, of course, y'all reach out to me, but of course, we're going to need help. I can't do this by myself. So yeah, Christ Capital Church, the church of true spirituality. I give all glory, honor, and praise to the Most High God and His Son. Peace. I love y'all, man.